Hi everyone, I'm reading The Ghost of Fossil Glen, Chapter 10. Hi Mom, Allie called as she and Dub walked in through the door of Mrs. Nichols' shop. Hi Al, back here, a muffled voice replied. Allie and Dub walked through the main part of the store, past tastefully arranged groupings of furniture, paintings, china, glassware, quilts, and books to a small room that seemed to be overflowing with clutter. Papers, folders, empty packing boxes, crumpled newspapers, an odd assortment of antiques, and framed pictures were piled haphazardly on every available surface. Mrs. Nichols was bending over a carton, poking through the contents. She looked up, brushing her hair from her face, leaving a streak of dirt across her forehead. She looked hot and sweaty, and her clothing was covered with dust. Hi, you guys. Gee, Mom, said Allie, looking around. If my room looked like this, you'd have a fit. It is a mess, isn't it? Said Mrs. Nichols cheerfully. It's all this new stock I've gotten in the past 2 days. I'm trying to unpack, clean, and price everything, and wouldn't you know, customers keep coming in and distracting me. She turned to Dub. You didn't know how glamorous this job was, did you? Dub laughed. We could help, he said. That's nice of you, Dub, and I take you up on it, except that right now everything is so disorganized, I wouldn't know where to tell you to start. Where'd you get all this stuff, Mom? Asked Allie. I told you about the man in the van, didn't I? Oh, yeah. Remember this morning when we passed the Stiles' house and I said I thought I recognized the van in the driveway? Well, I was right. It was the same one. That's where all these new items came from. Allie lifted her eyebrows. All this is from the Stiles' house? Yes. Is someone new moving in? Dub asked. I don't know, but I'd certainly be glad to see someone living in that beautiful old house. It's a shame for it to stand vacant like that. Mrs. Nichols' face brightened as she remembered something. You came to see the desk, didn't you? Come on, it's right out here. Allie and Dub followed Mrs. Nichols to the front of the shop. What do you think? By the window were an old-fashioned wooden desk and a matching chair. The desk had a high back with lots of little drawers and pigeonholes. Allie lifted the lid of the slanted writing surface. Inside were more drawers and cubbyholes. Larger drawers on both sides reached to the floor. The wood seemed to glow in the warm afternoon light that streamed through the window. Allie breathed deeply, catching the scent of lemon polish. It's so beautiful, she said, rubbing her hand along the polished surface. Turning to her mother, she asked, May I really have it? Mrs. Nichols nodded. If you like it, it's yours. I love it, said Allie. Tell you what, said Mrs. Nichols, why don't you two remove all the drawers to make it lighter? Then the three of us should have no problem carrying it. I'll bring the car around to the front door and we'll see if we can fit it in. Hear the dogs. Working together, they managed to wrestle the desk into the back seat of the car and the drawers and the chair into the trunk. There, said Mrs. Nichols. But there's no room for you two now. That's okay, said Allie. We're thinking about going to Dub's to look up some stuff on his computer anyway. All right, be home by 6 for dinner. Okay. After dinner, can we put the desk in my room? Of course. Bye, Mrs. Nichols, said Dub. Nice to see you, Dub. Thanks, Mom. Bye, sweetie. As she and Dub walked up the main street of town toward Dub's house, Allie thought how strange it was that her new desk came from the Stiles' house, and her mind flashed on the image of Lucy Stiles' lonely grave. That's the same girl that lived in that house. When they arrived at Dub's house, he opened the door with a key he wore around his neck. No one was home. Dub's mother traveled a lot for her job with a computer company, and his father was still at work. It was because of his mother's job that Dub always had the most up-to-the-minute computer and programs. They got a package of cookies and some milk and sat side by side in front of the computer. Dub turned it on. While it clicked in Word, he said, Let's try typing in the keyword ghost and see what we get. Okay, said Allie. She watched fascinated as Dub used the mouse and keyboard to skip from screen to screen. Mumbling to himself, he said, Space ghosts? No. Ghost towns? No. Chinese hopping ghosts? No. That sounds interesting, said Allie. I know, but we can't get distracted. It's not really what we're looking for, said Dub, continuing to scroll through the list of ghost-related topics. What are we looking for? Asked Allie. Here we go. Ghost stories are us. Ghosts around the world. True ghost stories. Let's try that. He clicked the mouse on the third entry. Allie read aloud, quickly jumping from one paragraph to another. True ghost stories gathered from over 200 people in 20 countries. Brief text of each story, followed by an analysis of common elements. Okay, keep going. Allie and Dub scanned screen after screen of tales told by people who claimed to have been visited by ghosts. Amid the fantastic tales were repeated references to both whispered and written messages from the ghost. Often people told of feeling shivers or chills in its presence. Ghosts appeared to people in many different ways, and their powers were quite varied. Sometimes they caused events, sometimes they encouraged a living person to make things happen. At last, Allie and Dub reached the end of the stories. Wow, said Dub. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Allie shifted uneasily in her chair. Let's see what it says here at the end. She continued reading aloud. Many of the stories suggest that the strength and ability of a ghost are related to the age and power of the person at the time of his or her death. The ghost of an infant, therefore, is often said to be weak and ineffectual, perhaps making its presence known only by the faint sound of its cries. The ghost of a 40-year-old woman, on the other hand, may be able to make itself known to humans in many different ways in order to influence earthly events. Allie looked at Dub. Strange, huh? Now listen to this. In almost every case, the ghost is an unwilling spirit who is treated unfairly in life and who can find no rest until the wrongs against him or her are readdressed. Some ghosts seek revenge, others seek justice. Some appear to the person who wronged them. Others choose a person, often a stranger, whom they believe can make things right again. Then and only then can the spirit be at peace and leave the human world behind. This theme is the most common feature of all human encounters with ghosts, regardless of the country or culture or origin. Allie sighed. Well, if I'm going crazy, at least I'm not alone. Actually, reading all these other people's stories makes me feel less crazy, and it makes me think we're on the right track. But you know what I wonder most of all? Who the ghost, if it is a ghost, is. Yes, that. But even more, she paused. Why did it pick me? Dub thought for a moment. Good question. Allie glanced up at the clock at the wall. Oh, it's after 6. I better call Mom and tell her I'm on my way. Go ahead, said Dub. The computer's on a separate line. She picked up the phone and dialed, while Dub kept clicking from one screen to another. Dad, it's me. Dub and I were working on the computer and lost track of time. Yeah, I'm leaving right now. Okay, bye. To Dub, she said, I gotta go. See you tomorrow. But Dub was deep in cyberspace again. Okay, Al, he said without taking his eyes from the screen. See you later. Allie walked home feeling excited but jittery. Every few moments she looked back over her shoulder, half expecting to see or hear something. It appeared, at least so far, that the ghost meant her no harm. Still, she couldn't help feeling thankful that nightfall was at least an hour away.